Los Angeles. Homelessness and fentanyl. Lives hanging by a thread. The streets of Los Angeles are crowded with people just trying to make it through the day, and most of us barely look up. Tens of thousands wake up with no home, no safety net, only hunger, fear, and uncertainty. Fentanyl lingers in the background like a shadow, turning desperation into tragedy in an instant. These are the homeless in America, people we pass on sidewalks, whose lives are filled with pain, grit, and heartbreak. How did it come to this? And how long will we keep pretending this suffering isn't happening right in front of us? Streets of Shadows, inside Los Angeles' homeless crisis. Los Angeles is now home to more than 72,000 people without stable housing, with over 43,000 of them within the city limits alone. Nearly 2/3 sleep outside, under tarps, in tents, in cars and vans. Every sunrise is another day of survival.
They actually picked up my tent with the bulldozer and took it down the way here and dropped it on another person's tent that wasn't ready to go either. So they don't have a tent now either.
Hunger wears them down. Heat, cold, and rain punish the body. Danger never really disappears. All the while, the city's glittering skyline and Hollywood image roll on, almost untouched by the suffering below. For the homeless in America, Los Angeles isn't just a city, it's a warning sign. Exploding rents, widening inequality, and weak support systems have created a reality where survival becomes a full-time job. A small one-bedroom can easily cost over $2,000 a month, completely unreachable for many working people, let alone those already living on the edge.
You know, life in LA is hard. Even for those, even if you're not homeless, it's so expensive in LA. You know, some people are just one paycheck away, or some people are very close to being homeless down here.
Even when officials highlight small drops in certain homelessness statistics, the truth on the ground remains sobering. Tens of thousands of people are still outside, exposed and largely unprotected. Walk through Skid Row or past MacArthur Park, and the contrast is jarring. Luxury apartments stand just blocks away from sidewalks, packed with tents and makeshift shelters. Massive billboards sell wealth, success, and fame, while lives crumble just below them. These streets are full of real stories, not just data points. Stories of courage and heartbreak, of survival and quiet despair that most people never hear.
The streets is where nobody want to live, nobody. I don't want to be out here, but I'm hoping real soon I can get off the streets and become with some humanized living. This is right here is not humanized. I don't want to be here, never, no more.
And now, fentanyl has become a constant, silent threat. It moves through homeless communities like an invisible predator, turning already desperate situations into sudden emergencies. Every step outside, every interaction can carry risk. The streets aren't just unforgiving anymore, they're deadly.
There's a lot of bad people out here, crazy people. Sometimes people will come up to you, try to rob you or take what you got when you're sleeping. You don't know when you could get killed out here, you know? It's very scary out here.
The scale of the crisis is overwhelming. The suffering is right there in plain sight, and yet somehow easy to ignore. How many more people have to fade away before we admit that the system has failed? And how many more tragedies must unfold before the city responds with real urgency instead of slogans? Fentanyl, the invisible predator. Fentanyl is not just another street drug. It's a quiet predator moving through a crisis that never really ends. Day after day, it spreads through communities already stretched to their breaking point, taking lives before help even has a chance to arrive. In Los Angeles, it has become one of the leading causes of loss of life among people experiencing homelessness, driving a sharp increase in fatal overdoses over recent years. Between 2019 and 2023, more than half of overdose deaths in this population were tied to fentanyl. Because it's so powerful, a tiny miscalculation, a single moment of trust in the wrong substance can be fatal. There's no warning, no second chance. For the homeless in America, this threat feels even more terrifying. Many use alone, with no one nearby to call for help. Medical care is rarely close, and emergency services often arrive too late. The streets, already unforgiving, become deadly ground where every day is a roll of the dice. What pushes someone this far? Poverty, isolation, untreated trauma, the crushing weight of hopelessness. It's never just one thing. And fentanyl only deepens the darkness. First responders often describe Skid Row like a battlefield against something you can't see. Ambulances maneuver through narrow streets lined with tents, arriving again and again to the same blocks, the same faces. Too often they arrive just moments too late. Naloxone, the medication that can reverse opioid overdoses, is handed out widely. It saves lives, but only for a moment. Many fall back into the same brutal cycle, using, overdosing, being revived, and returning to the same dangerous streets. Slowly, fentanyl transforms neighborhoods that once offered a fragile sense of community into danger zones where just stepping outside can feel like a risk. Look closely and it becomes clear. Fentanyl is more than a drug. It's a symptom of something larger: neglect, deep poverty, broken systems, and a culture that has allowed this level of suffering to continue. And still, the city moves forward, shining its image of success and glamour, as if these lives don't count. So we're left with the questions no one wants to answer. How many more lives will vanish before we treat this like the emergency it is? And how long will the suffering of the homeless in America continue in silence, right in front of our eyes? Living on the edge, life on the streets. To really understand this crisis, you have to step away from the statistics and try to see through the eyes of those actually living outside. Every day becomes a test, a constant balancing act between survival, fear, and quiet, stubborn resilience. Mornings are spent searching for something to eat, whether from a soup kitchen, a church pantry, a kind stranger, or whatever can be salvaged from what's left behind. Afternoons turn into a hunt for safety, a shaded corner, a tucked-away alley, a bed and a shelter if one is available. Nights are the hardest. That's when the streets grow more dangerous, and every sound, every shadow carries uncertainty. Life outside isn't only about being exposed to heat, cold, or rain. The emotional and mental weight can be crushing. People face constant stress from hunger, untreated health issues, and the sting of being judged or ignored because they are homeless. Choices. And yet, even in all this, the human spirit still finds a way to show up. People share food, blankets, and information. They look out for one another and cling to small routines, morning coffee lines, conversations, daily walks that restore even a little dignity. The stories that come from these sidewalks are both heartbreaking and revealing. One man spoke of living in a tent for over a year, always uncertain whether the supplies he found were safe or dangerous. A woman told me how people she knew on the same block disappeared in a matter of days, their absence never explained. The details change, but the pattern repeats itself. Risk, vulnerability, and resilience woven into every single day. For the homeless in America, this life holds a lesson we can't afford to ignore. It shows just how fragile stability really is, and how deeply housing, healthcare, and social support shape human well-being. Each tent, each car, each makeshift shelter is a story of economic pressure, social neglect, and perseverance. It's a reminder that homelessness is rarely about personal failure alone. It's often the visible result of invisible systemic gaps. By paying closer attention, we can respond more wisely. Programs that offer food, shelter, medical care, and mental health services are not luxuries. They are lifelines. Seeing the people behind the numbers helps us recognize real solutions and inspires action instead of apathy. Life on the streets is harsh, but through education, awareness, and community involvement, vulnerability can be turned into a starting point for change, not the end of the road. The roots of despair, why the crisis persists. Life on the streets isn't just a struggle against hunger and weather. It's a constant fight against systems that feel like they're built to keep you out. For many, every attempt to get help means navigating a maze of rules and requirements with no clear path to success. Shelters have strict curfews and long wait lists. Social service offices are overwhelmed. Small mistakes, missing a form, arriving late, not having the right ID, can mean losing a crucial chance at housing or support. For thousands of people, especially among the homeless in America, bureaucracy can feel just as cold as the pavement. The challenges are intensely human. People feel overlooked, misunderstood, or dismissed by agencies that are supposed to help. One man described waiting months for a shelter bed, only to be turned away because a single document was missing. A woman recounted calling mental health services again and again, only to hear there were no openings. These aren't rare exceptions, they are everyday experiences for people trying to survive with almost no margin for error. At the center of it all is housing. Affordable apartments are scarce. Rents jump faster than wages. Even when shelter beds are available, they don't always feel safe. Theft, violence, and drug exposure make every night uncertain. The gap between what the system can offer and what people actually need is huge, wide enough for many to fall through without a way back. And yet, in the middle of all this, resilience shows up. Local organizations, volunteers, and grassroots groups step in where larger systems fall short. Food distributions, mobile health clinics, outreach teams, and harm reduction programs serve as lifelines. They provide basic necessities, medical care, and most importantly, a sense that someone still sees and cares. These efforts alone can't fix the structural problems, but they prove that compassion can make a real difference, even in small doses. Ultimately, the streets reflect something much deeper. They reveal failures in policy, planning, and priorities, shortages in affordable housing, underfunded social programs, fragmented services, and a culture that often blames individuals instead of questioning systems. Until those root causes are confronted, the crisis will continue, night after night, person by person. Every evening spent without stability is a reminder that survival is fragile and that our collective responsibility remains unfinished. Understanding the roots of despair isn't just about feeling sorry for people. It's about learning how we got here. By seeing how policies, economics, and social systems intersect to push people toward the edge, we can start to imagine real solutions. Change will require coordinated action, serious investment in housing and services, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths about inequality and neglect. Until then, the struggle of those on the streets will go on, testing human endurance and challenging the moral integrity of the city and of the country watching it happen. The weight of consequences, impacts on individuals and society. The struggles of people living without stable housing reach far beyond their own stories. Every night spent on a sidewalk, every overdose on a forgotten corner, ripples outward to families, neighborhoods, and the city as a whole. In Los Angeles, extremes exist side by side. Luxury towers and busy shopping streets standing just blocks away from tents, tarps, and vehicles where people sleep. Each disrupted life represents a dream put on hold, a chance lost, and a human being pushed to their limits. First responders and social workers race from crisis to crisis, but the sheer scale of need stretches even the most committed teams to breaking point. Life on the streets is physically brutal. Chronic illness, untreated wounds, hunger, and exposure to heat, cold, and rain make survival a daily battle. Yet the emotional and mental strain can be even heavier. The fear of assault, the anxiety of losing even a small patch of safety, and the trauma of watching friends die from overdoses casts a shadow over every moment. Every choice, where to sleep, who to trust, whether to seek help, carries real risk, and one bad outcome can change everything. Communities feel the burden too. Hospitals, emergency rooms, and city services are pushed to their limits. Public spaces reflect the visible signs of suffering, forcing residents and leaders to confront issues that are often pushed aside in planning meetings and policy debates. The contrast between visible wealth and visible desperation raises hard questions. How can a city that celebrates creativity and innovation allow such pain to exist in plain view? How long can society tolerate this divide before it cracks our sense of moral, social, and civic responsibility? Even so, acts of compassion still carve out space for hope. Volunteers distribute meals, water, clothing, and hygiene supplies. Outreach teams offer medical care, mental health support, and overdose prevention tools like naloxone. Community organizations step in where systems fall short, offering safety, respect, and a reminder that dignity still matters. These efforts may seem small against the vastness of the crisis, but each one can be the difference between life and death, despair, and the second chance. Understanding the wider impact of homelessness and addiction, especially among the homeless in America, is essential. This is not only a personal fight for those on the streets, it is a test of our shared values, our policies, and our priorities. When we see how deeply everything is connected, we are better equipped to plan interventions, protect public health, and demand systemic change. Every action counts. Even small steps rooted in care and understanding can ripple outward, shaping a safer, more humane future for both individuals and the society that surrounds them. Battling the system, lives caught between policy and survival. Across Los Angeles, countless programs are working to confront homelessness and the deadly spread of fentanyl. Yet the crisis is so massive that progress feels painfully slow. Shelters, supportive housing, and transitional programs struggle to keep up as waiting lists stretch for months or even years. Thousands still sleep outside every night, exposed to hunger, violence, exploitation, and the constant threat of overdose. Each day becomes a dangerous gamble. Medical and harm reduction teams provide essential lifelines. Naloxone, needle exchanges, and street outreach save lives daily, but limited funding and growing need make it impossible to reach everyone. Every life saved matters, yet the suffering remains overwhelming. Housing First programs offer hope by giving people permanent housing before addressing addiction or employment, and evidence shows these models work. But political obstacles, inconsistent funding, and bureaucratic delays slow their expansion. Scaling them to match the reality of homeless in America, especially in Los Angeles, remains a steep challenge. Grassroots efforts fill critical gaps with mobile clinics, hot meals, and mutual aid. These community actions prove compassion doesn't need permission. Still, they highlight a hard truth. No single effort can solve a crisis rooted in housing shortages, fragmented healthcare, and underfunded social services. Every overdose and every night spent in a tent reflects a system struggling to protect its most vulnerable. Policymakers face tough decisions about where resources should go: housing, treatment, prevention, or mental health, and how to respond with dignity rather than dismissal. The real question now is urgent. How many more lives will be lost before the city and the nation acts with the seriousness this crisis demands? Glimmers of hope, survival, and humanity amid crisis. Even in the darkest corners of Los Angeles, small lights still break through. They don't erase the crisis, but they prove that change, even slow, fragile change, is possible. Supportive housing programs are moving more people from tents into permanent homes. Mental health care, medical outreach, addiction treatment, and harm reduction are saving lives, showing that when support is steady and connected, it works. Community efforts matter just as much. Volunteers share food, blankets, and hygiene kits. Outreach workers bring naloxone, conversation, and comfort to people at their lowest moments. Local nonprofits, churches, and advocacy groups quietly fill the gaps systems leave behind. Stories of people going from sidewalks to stable housing put real faces to the phrase, homeless in America. They remind us this isn't about numbers, it's about people who've endured grief, addiction, and neglect, yet still choose hope. The crisis is far from over, but these acts of care point toward a way forward, if we're willing not just to feel, but to act.